Hello and welcome. I'm going to be doing the challenge from Leviathan Chaos stage. This team I did use to get the complete, so I'm going to be running it to show you. Team is Warrior of Light, Serah, and Sherlotta. Warrior of Light does have a single ingot on his weapon, because at 0 he gets nice overflow that I felt like he couldn't really take advantage of it, but with 1 ingot he gets 4 hits instead of 2 on his EX, and he overflows nicely. Serah plus Sherlotta gives you 3 separate damaging debuffs, which is going to help mitigate Leviathan's regen and sap. And then Sherlotta, of course, has her EX, which allows you to remove 80% of the brave generated by Tsunami. So that's going to help get out of trouble here. Now, I did this the first time. I did have a Sherlotta friend. However, I could not find one for 5 turns for this video, so I'm going to go ahead and bring a Cloud. I think it will still work just fine. So let's get right into this. So in Chaos, of course, Leviathan is going to use his Tsunami first turn, not second turn, which means you're immediately faced with some danger here. Fortunately, you can avoid getting broken pretty easily by doing this. The problem, of course, is that without Warrior of Light getting a turn, he's still going to generate quite a lot of Brave, which is going to give me a problem here. The real danger here, of course, is that when you look at him, he has a couple things going for him. First, he has this defense up buff, but also, while that buff's in effect, he also has this. He is heavily resistant to every element except thunder. Now, this means if you want to need to actually non-elemental or thunder damage. The problem here is that some characters that otherwise might have been really handy for this fight, for instance, in the Cosmos one, the problem here is that those characters cannot effectively Brave Shade in Chaos. So, what I need to do here is deal with my as possible, as quickly as possible, and hope for the best. So as you can see, that's not lethal damage, and that's all that matters. Yes, that required me to burn several abilities. Now, the first time I did this, my turn order was a little nicer. Warrior of Light went before Leviathan, and I was able to get a Shining Shield into place. Unfortunately, that was not the case this time around, so I took a nasty hit. I have health regeneration from Sherlotta, so that should not be a problem long term. So I'm going to go ahead and use an all advance fairly early in the fight here. It gives a little attack and overflow. The reason is that early in the fight he doesn't have very high defense, so he's got to get very close to something. He didn't, but he was going to be low about it. Then the overflow is actually usable. Alright, so Sherlotta needs to get her EX up, ideally right around the time Leviathan's using his next smash. So I'm not too eager to overcharge it. Serah, of course, needs to maintain her buffs and debuffs, so we do need to use those occasionally. And Warrior of Light, fortunately, can also help heal, so Shining Wave is going to help get his health back up before things get nasty later in the fight. So that move is actually a fairly high turn rate. You don't want to get the Brave Break on you because you might follow up with a Brave plus HP attack. Other than that, Shining Shield should protect you from most of the stuff he does, so don't worry too much. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and use a Light of the Crystal here. That is going to charge for EX, don't really want to use it yet, though, because I do want to save it. I know it sounds suboptimal to hang on to something like that, but it is going to be necessary here in just a moment. So this is a Brave plus HP attack. It should be a 0 damage because of Shining Shield. The reason, of course, is because I have Poison Sap and Serah's EX debuff on him. If you don't have those things in place, that is going to do some damage to you, so keep that in mind. There, so I do need to make sure everyone has a Shining Shield here. You notice I'm mostly just using Sherlotta's HP plus, just because everyone in the team can generate Brave for her. It's good to use them early on, because later in the fight, when she can't really do much in the way of Brave damage, I'm going to want to be using her skill 2, Crystal Generation. So it's good to use as much of that early on as I can afford to. So the big thing here, you just don't want to get broken when that happens, especially. And here's why. He's going to get a resist fail if he gets a break. And that means that basically every turn I take from here on is going to do 0 HP damage, which is super, super annoying. And it becomes increasingly difficult to break him, because he's going to be gaining sometimes up to 9,000 Brave a tick from sap off of my people. That's really dangerous when you're trying to get a Brave break and you're still not dealing any HP damage that whole time. Alright, so of course she's going to use her EX, which I've been holding on to. And that is going to go ahead and knock all that off, down to 8,000. Unfortunately, he still gets some back, as you can see. That's from sap. Shouldn't be in any real danger here, though, even though that looks like it's a potentially dangerous number. The reality is that the poison and such should eliminate all of this Brave. So he regens a little bit. 1, 2, 3 ticks. He's got 200 Brave. Whenever he gets down too low, he doesn't even HP attack. So, it's not too bad. So just checking Serah's buffs. And 0 damage from Gush because of all the damaging debuffs. It makes the fight a lot more manageable. Alright, so I do need to watch this. I want to make sure people don't lose Shining Shields here. So Warrior of Light is going to need to reapply that here shortly. I'm going to want to generate a little bit of Brave here. Again, I don't want to use her EX before Leviathan uses his next tsunami, so. So you see Serah's starting to actually run a little low on steam. That's okay. As long as she doesn't completely run out, I should be fine, and she's probably going to be the one I swap out for my guest. Nonetheless, I don't want to completely out of steam here yet, so I do need to be a little conservative, I think. I'm going to go ahead and use it for a buckler just because I haven't played it back in a while. place at this point. Leviathan is going to have well over 80,000 brave. Again, Sherlotta helps tremendously for dealing with that. However, if you do want to just sort of cheese this, you can also get away with using someone like Prompto instead of Warrior of Light. In fact, that's who I used to get my initial clear. I may upload a video of that as well. You can just dodge the attack and he drops right down to 0 brave. Okay, so nonetheless, I do need to do something about his very large amount of brave. I'm going to go ahead and use a Light of the Crystal here. And then I will use my Crystal Core. I did it in that order to A, generate more brave, but also B, because that's going to hit for more because of the sap. Alright, so now I have a couple of options. Since everybody is fairly high brave, I actually think I'm going to go ahead and use one of my Crystal Generations. So let's pop this. I'm just going to probably break it. Yep. Another all advance here. I'm sure I was going to go ahead and do a full stack of these brave damage. I know it's still a large amount, but again, it's going to mostly tick away down to nothing. It actually went down to 0. Thing to consider is the stronger Leviathan gets, the higher his int brave is, the more damage poison is going to deal. It actually becomes more and more effective at removing that. Alright, so I'm coming to the moment here where I need to start doing a little more damage. As you can see, I only have 20 turns left. I just have my summon and my friend left, though. I should be able to do it. But when you start reaching that point in the fight, you do want to sort of realize you need to go a little harder. As such, I'm going to start using things like all of this stuff for the extra regen. Alright, so as I said before, I'm going to swap Serah out for Cloud. Yes, I just put my max brave a bit on other characters, but it should be alright here. Now this is a good time to do it because Leviathan's targeting a single target attack. You don't want to swap it right before Tsunami because you're going to take a brave break at a really bad time. Nice thing about swapping out Serah as well is that her debuffs continue to deal damage, whereas if I had swapped out, say, Sherlotta, Sap would no longer work. I don't want to swap out Warrior of Light because I really do want Shining Shield in place for something like this that's about to happen. Speaking of which, I need to apply that to Cloud so things don't get nasty. Now the reason I didn't summon ahead of this is because I want to be able to make sure I can handle this. And having the summon should make sure I can deal enough damage. Now again, nobody is broken, which means I'm still able to deal damage this turn, which is a big deal. Now, I'm going to set up what should be sort of an optimal summon phase here. I like to start a summon with Sherlotta whenever I can. And the reason is simple. It allows me to make sure I can do the most damage with Crystal Generation. And you see that sap damage really hurt her, but That's still going to hit quite hard. Now, Warrior of Light, I have a couple of options for it. I'm going to use the Shining Wave just because of the overflow on it here. Cloud you want to do Meteor Rain with 3 times if you can. See, it's hitting weakness because of thunder damage, so that's very nice. I'm going to use a Shining Shield here just to give everyone a little extra brave. Which, of course, Sherlotta benefits from because this is going to make this hit a little bit harder. Okay. Now, just weighing my options here, I think another Shining Shield is probably the best thing to do before I lose that Summon Brave. Okay, now Cloud has a few options here, but I would prefer to do a Cross/Plus. Just because it'll allow me to delay the fight a little longer. Sherlotta can set up another burst of damage here, and since Leviathan already used Tsunami, I don't have to worry about this. It will absolutely be up in time for the next one, if there is a next one. Refresh this. Go ahead and pop a Shining Wave. And now Cloud's final turn here is going to be another Meteor Rain. Now from here on out, Sherlotta's really only got a handful of abilities left, but you want to use them, they give you a little extra brave. Cloud, of course, is going to swap out, but Serah may actually just be able to finish it. Alright, and there it is at 60 out of 65 turns. And you see it still hits the target score, hits all the missions. You can see my previous high score was higher. That's what I was able to do, that 710 with a Sherlotta friend. So this is a pretty solid team for getting through this. I will try to record and upload my run with Prompto as well, just so you can see it is possible to at least clear this and get the nuggets with a much different team. Alright, well thanks for watching, and good luck on your own run.